Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're going to make Popeye's biscuits. It's one of my favorite labs to do at school. Everybody looks forward to it. The whole school ends up smelling like Popeye's biscuits and people come sniffing around wanting some. I'm going to show you a bunch of tricks today so that you have a fluffy, buttery, golden brown biscuit to enjoy afterwards. So I hope you enjoy it and you give it a try. The ingredients you're going to need is a large box of Pioneer baking mix, 2 sticks of butter, not margarine, 16-ounce container of sour cream, and 16 ounces club soda. And then, of course, you have to have honey for the tippy top. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is dust our cutting board with a little bit of the Pioneer baking mix. Don't use flour. You want to, when you're baking, you want to use whatever you are cooking with, drip powder, to keep everything from not sticking. All right, now we're going to take our 2 sticks of butter and we're going to roll them into powder. And this is going to make them easy to cut up and keep them from sticking to everything. So just kind of roll that. Now while you're prepping your batter, your biscuits, you need to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. Now 450 degrees sounds high, but what you want is what's called oven spring. It's that initial rise that a food gets as soon as the leaveners are heated up, and that's why your oven needs to be kind of hot. All right, now before we do anything, I'm going to butter my pan. Just take your butter, just smear it all over your pan. I would not use cooking spray, and I would never ever use margarine in this recipe. Margarine is going to be too soft and gunky, and you're never going to get the little flecks of butter that you want inside your biscuits. Okay, I meant to do that first, so maybe you should do that first before you roll it in powder. All right, now I'm going to cut it into what I call slabs. So take your knife. The colder your butter, the better it cuts. And this is what I mean by a slab. All right, so I got 4 out of each one. When it feels a little sticky, just roll it in the powder. No big deal. Now once you have slabs, cut it into French fries. And I get about 4 every time I do it. This is a French fry. All right, and then after you cut all of yours into French fries for 1 stick, you will line them up, and we're going to cut tiny, tiny, tiny flecks. So keep your knife really, really close, barely cut it, because what this does is these little flecks of cold butter distribute throughout the biscuit, and it makes it very buttery and flaky, and that's what we want. So just cut, cut, cut. The smaller the better. And if you feel like you did them too big, you can always take your knife and run it through them again if you missed a couple of pieces. If you feel like it's sticking, just put a little bit more powder from your baking mix. Now, I knew somebody a long, long, long time ago, because Popeyes, they used to make their biscuits in-house. Now, all these places, they have their, a lot of their things on their menu prepared at another location, and they receive them frozen. And the employees don't necessarily follow the rising and baking directions on those things, so they don't taste like they used to. And if you're old like me, you remember how good they used to be. You may like them the way they are now, I don't know. But I like to put honey on top of them, so it's a mixture of the Church's honey ones and then the Popeyes flaky ones. All right, so I cut this stick of butter in slabs. There's my slab. Now I'm cutting it in French fries. And then I'm gonna turn it and cut it into little tiny flecks. Now this person a long time ago told me what the recipe was, and I have used the Pioneer biscuit mix ever since. I have tried it with other brands and it does not taste as good. So if you can't find Pioneer, You can order in a store. You can definitely order it online. You're gonna see it a lot of places. But I've tried Jiffy, and that's not any good. I've tried lots of other biscuit or waffle making mixes, and they just aren't the same. And you have original Pioneer, and then you have buttermilk Pioneer. And I prefer the buttermilk, but if all you can find is the original, that works too. All right, we have our butter prepared, and yes, this is a lot of butter. I mean, I can't really even eat this biscuit because I'm lactose intolerant and there's nothing but dairy in it. But I will eat one, and I will have a smile on my face and worry about it later. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to. All right, now we're going to go through how to mix it up the right way, and we're going to start off with 8 cups of Pioneer, and you want to make sure that they are level measurements. So that's 2. 4. 6. 8. And you want to make sure you get a big box because the little box is not quite a double batch, and I have 2 boxes, so it's no big deal. I'm using a little bit of each one, but you want to start off with 8 of your powder. Then you're going to simply spoon in your sour cream and do it in little blobs. It'll be easier to combine in a minute because the whole point is to not overwork the dough because we want flaky biscuits. So just get them in here. And you need 16 ounces, 2 cups. And if you're thinking, ooh, sour cream, it's not gonna stand out flavor-wise, but it's going to make it creamy and moist and give it that little tang that you're used to when you eat biscuits. We're gonna put in both cans of our club soda. My bowl's quite small, it's not big enough. Both cans. Give this a little lift so it'll go under there. And you see all these bubbles? That's what you want. So if you are using the screw top bottle of club soda, and when you open it, because it's left over from something, if you open it and it does not fizz a lot, then you want to get you a fresh bottle, because the carbonation is what's going to help us with the flakiness and the softness of the finished biscuit. All right, so now I'm gonna put in both of our sticks of butter that we prepared. And then this is one of the big tricks. You want to fold, and you want to do it gently, and you want to be patient. And so we're just gonna scrape down the side, flip. Scrape down the side and the bottom, flip. And keep on turning the bowl. And if you see a big chunk of sour cream, just run your spoon through it. But I'm just gonna keep rotating the bowl and scraping the side, scraping the bottom until all of my visual dry ingredients are gone. And it's gonna take a minute. Just be patient. It's gonna make a difference. If you sit here and you stir all crazy and vigorously, you're going to break up and clump up. You're gonna pop all the bubbles, and you're gonna make what's gonna be more like a dense biscuit. So just be patient. And if it feels like it never quite comes together because you maybe measured something wrong, you can always add a little bit more powder or a little bit of liquid depending on what your issue is. But just be very mindful of what you're putting in measurement-wise up front, because we don't want to put too much powder because then our biscuits are going to be kind of dry. And we don't want to put too much liquid to powder ratio because they're going to be hard for us to make into a biscuit and to put on the pan. All right, so I'm going to keep going for another few seconds until there's no more visible chunks of powder. So make sure that you're scraping that bottom and getting all the powder up off of it. It always amazes me when I do this lab at school. In one day, I'll have 21 groups bake the biscuits. And out of the 21 groups, I will have 21 varying results. All right, and I give them the same lesson. They all watching me do this demonstration in front of them, and I'll be dang if they don't all come up with a different result. Sometimes they're over there and they're like stirring soup, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what did you do? We did it right. Well, you obviously didn't do it right. So pay attention to your measurements and you'll have a good result. All right, so I'm going to stop here because now I'm starting to notice there's not a lot of powder coming up when I fold, and that's when you know you're good to go. All right, so clean off my spoon, and we're going to go back to our board. Now on your board, you're going to put a little bit of powder, and then we're going to get ready to turn it out. Dump out your whole mixture. Now it looks like it's very crumbly, but I promise you, the softer it is, the better. So just kind of clean everything out, going in. And I love the taste of raw biscuit dough. I know that's weird, but every time I open a can of biscuits, I'll pinch off a bite and I will eat them. And this one is just as good. I don't want any to go to waste. All right, so I'm gonna dust my hands, and then I'm gonna mold it. Now the key to this, took off my ring. The key to this is to not be too rough. We're not kneading it, we're not rolling it out. We're making a wall with one hand, and we're just gonna push it out. I'm gonna use my shape of my cutting board as my guide of what shape I wanna go in. And I'm just gently pressing down and out towards my hand. And what I want is about an inch high biscuit. But I want to be the same height all the way around, because if I start to cut them at different heights, I'm going to end up with uneven biscuits, which means they're going to take a different amount of cooking time in the oven. And we don't want that. We want them to be the same. We want them to be fluffy. And I'm just going to keep dusting my hand over here off on the side when it feels a little sticky. And I'm just going to work it out until it's about an inch high. And you can kind of feel where it's unlevel, but don't use a rolling pin. That's too much pressure. We don't want to overwork the gluten in the powder. We just want it to be fluffy. All right, so once you do this, take your cup, find your favorite roundness. This one's my favorite, the one here at the house. It's about 11 years old. I've used it every time. I'm just gonna dip it in a little bit of powder. And when you're cutting, you wanna work from the outside. Don't cut out in the middle of nowhere. I'll move my pan closer. And what I like about using a plastic cup is when you flex it like this with your fingers, the biscuit just falls out. Now, we want them to hug up against each other on the pan. That way they rise up, not out. And I'm just gonna keep working my way around. The biscuits are huge. They're gonna fall out on your hand if you've done it right. I'm gonna line up 4 on the pan. I'll show you that in a second. And I'm gonna keep on adding. Let me get them on here kind of quick. So when we do biscuits at school, I'll usually demonstrate for the kids, and then I'll cut them loose and they'll go start to make them. And it's amazing to me how I will have just given this lesson and I have 7 kitchens cooking at one time, 3 times, sometimes 6 times we'll do this lab. So 3 times a day, 3 times the next time. And every time a lab does it, so that's 21 times in one day, there'll be 21 different outcomes. So if you fail at first, just try again. If it's too wet because you did something wrong, just add a little bit more powder, add a little at a time so you don't overdo it. If it comes out too dry, then next time you make it, do a better job at distributing your butter. And if you don't like the flavor and you didn't use Pioneer, maybe find some Pioneer and do it with that. That's my go-to every time. And like I said, we don't want to add too much powder to this because we don't want them to be dry. So if it feels a little sticky, just let it fall out and do its thing. All right, when you get to where you don't have any more shapes, just kind of bring it back together. Do not overwork it. I'm going to dust my hands. I'm just going to form it back into our inch-tall circle. Scooch it in and shape it yourself. Easy peasy, like this. Work from the outside. Get you a flexible cup. And if it's sticking too much to your cup, just powder your cup a little bit on the side. And now we're back on. This might make one. Yeah, I'm just going to leave this one really big. All right. And so this is what our pan looks like now. And I'm going to pop it in the oven at 450, and it's probably going to take 22, 23 minutes depending on your oven, and a little bit less if you do just a 1 dozen's worth. So this made 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It made 20, just shy of 2 dozen, but I used a wide mouth cup, and you can control how many biscuits you make by the size of the hole of the cup that you choose. All right, so I'm gonna pop these in the oven and set a timer. All right, this is what they should look like when they are taken out of the oven for the first time. They have little golden tips on them. I am going to put honey all over it. If you want to be naughty, this is what you do, and I'm telling you, it's a good addition. But believe it or not, there are some of you that don't like honey, and I don't understand it, but this is how I like it, and everybody over here likes it. The more honey, the better. So I'm going to put it all on it. I'm going to pop it back in the oven for literally like 1 minute, and then we're going to take them out and give them a taste. Here it is, it's finished. Look how fluffy. It is perfect. It's soft. It's got a little golden brown. It's got honey on it, and I'm going to give it a taste. Oh, they're hot. It is delicious, and we'll make it even more delicious if I cut it in half and put more honey or jelly on it. So you have that option too. This will be so good with white gravy all on it, the country gravy. Follow my tips and you will not be disappointed. Enjoy your Popeye biscuit.